Hello, welcome to my Legends of Runeterra deck guide. We're looking at a deep deck today. Here's the deck list. My version of this deck runs a lot of healing to help against aggressive decks, as the matchup into other decks is fairly good. With this list, usually I can get deep by turn 6, and did actually manage it by turn 4 in one game. The deck has two win conditions: get deep and play big Seamonsters with Nautilus, then finish your opponent using Terror of the Tides or Atrocity, or you can mill your opponent with Maokai and use enough removal, healing and blockers to stall until they run out of cards. So in the deck, I run the usual deep cards of Dredgers, Thorny Toad, Deadbloom Wanderer and Salvage. I did a lot of experimenting with Faded Memories versus Jettison, but in the end I think Faded Memories is better just because it's more useful at any point of the game. I run 2 copies of Mystical as it has so many good targets: Maokai, Nautilus, Deadbloom, any of the Seamonsters. Generally I use it on Maokai as he is so valuable and often your opponent will save removal for him. Maokai is the MVP of the deck in my opinion. He just does everything. Gets you deep, provides extra blockers, and milling your opponent's deck is its own win condition. I run only 2 Jowl Hunters because they aren't that great in this meta, but are still a strong card when your opponent doesn't have removal for them. For Seamonsters I run 2 Abyssal Eye, 3 Devourers, and 1 Terror of the Tides. And obviously Nautilus. Abyssal Eye and Devourer are just the strongest sea monster, and I really like Terror as it can get you a win by allowing you to bypass chump blockers, which is really good into control matchups. I also run Atrocity as an alternative win condition by targeting the Nexus using your big units or Nautilus and bypassing blockers. For removal I run Vile Feast, Grasp and Withering Wail. I run a mix as I encountered a variety of different decks and needed different removal for different situations. The deck is quite stacked on healing and this really helps into aggro matchups. On to the tips and tricks. You need to identify early what your win condition is and play for it. The deck has 2 main play styles, control and going deep fast. You want to play control style against aggro decks and focus on going deep against slower decks. Maokai is the most important unit in the deck. He creates blockers for aggro, gets you deep fast for your Seamonsters, and he mills your opponent's deck. Because of this, you should always play to protect your Maokai. Never block with him. Even 1 damage on Maokai puts him in kill range of a lot of spells. In general with this deck, you want to play your units on curve, but if you have Maokai, save a cheap unit in hand to play after you've dropped him. It will get you deep faster than playing the unit first. Faded Memories might be the hardest card to use right in this deck. You need to know based on your hand whether you need to use it to get deep faster using it on Dredgers, get extra healing from Thorny Toad or Deadbloom Wanderer, or get value from Jowl Hunters or Devourer. With this deck you need to plan out your turns. Finding the right time to drop Nautilus is important. Don't drop him just to die to a wide board next turn, but if you can drop him and he stays on the board even for 1 round, you usually win the game. When using Devourer, you need to work out what damage tools your opponent may have to prevent the effect going off, and then plan around it. It may not be best to go for the strongest target, and instead ensure the effect goes off, guaranteeing the value from Devourer. The biggest mistake I see with this deck is people not being careful with Atrocity. You need to expect your opponent to have an answer to it, like Frostbite, Vengeance, or some form of healing. When you use Atrocity, you need to make sure it will kill your opponent. The Mulligan for this deck is so important. You need to know what your win condition is beforehand. If you're against aggro, you want all your healing, removal and some early units. So Dredgers, Thorny Toad, Deadbloom, Vile Feast, Grasp and Wail. Against slower decks, you want a Mulligan for deep cards. So Dredgers, Thorny Toad, Deadbloom, Maokai and Faded Memories. Hopefully you try out this deck and enjoy playing it. I put the deck code in the description below, and if you enjoyed the video or the deck, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a good day.